Guys, thank you so much for coming today. I know we was meant to do a networking event tonight, but with the restrictions in place, we're here now in the studio in Watford. How is everybody?
Very
good.
Good to hear. So there are some big hot topics, Pete, aren't there, that we want to discuss?
There are, Liam, absolutely, guys. And girls, excuse me. There's a few things we want to talk about this evening. Let's start with something that I feel, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me, has been a great success in these difficult times, which has been the pedestrianisation of certain parts of central London. Some streets post 5 p.m. or all day on the weekends have been turned into an alfresco extravaganza. I think it's been a great success. Freddie, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we all agree that this should have been introduced years ago. We're still one of the few capitals, in Europe that we're actually, working almost without outside space. And I think having this, especially now over summer, especially now post-lockdown, has, helped us to recover as an industry. And hopefully this will be something that we can treasure every summer, and it will just, bring that positive change and show that sometimes a crisis like this will, make us all stronger, make us improve. So, obviously there's still so much to deal with, so much to face, but this is definitely something we should be proud of as an industry, well done also to the hospitality union that has really pushed for it. So yeah, hopefully this stays with us.
Great, thank you, Freddie. Michelle, I know you and I were talking about this earlier, so what are your thoughts, please?
I think the key part of it was when you saw our streets empty, at the end of March, your heart broke for this city. And then when you went back and saw the streets filled with the restaurants, with the industry that we love, we work in it, we live it, it's everything that we dream about. So to see like Old Compton Street, walking down there full of people and then up past Cuvadas, and people having a glass of champagne, I just think it brought joy. And in this moment where people have, fearful, you just think, this industry more than ever is going to bring people happiness, and it did.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Maurice, what are your thoughts?
I completely agree with Michelle. I mean, my office is based in Soho, and we went through a time where it was absolutely heartbreaking seeing everything so empty, and it's been a godsend to a lot of operators. It really has been, and I talked to many operators, as you can imagine, but it really has helped in a big way. Long may the weather continue. But
absolutely, absolutely. Jen, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's been lovely to see that kind of community spirit back again in London again. I don't work in the centre myself, but having been in the city centre at the beginning of lockdown and seeing the streets bare with nobody there and no trade happening, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And having been back again recently and seeing people in the streets, smile on their faces, it's brought back that real sort of cultural feel, that real community spirit, which is what London's all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, John James at Soho Estates with the Soho Festival, I mean, it's been a great success, hasn't it?
Absolutely stunning.
Pete, you and I work on a number of projects, and, having that ability to serve customers outside and bring the trust factor back for customers. I mean, Freddie, when the coffee shops that you guys have now, Gentleman Barista as well, outside there now in Covent Garden, I mean, they're seeing great success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, this has been needed. I mean, at the moment, hospitality needs every little support. And one thing that I think every operator will agree with us here is that people were just, happy to be back, feeling that sort of routine. And let's face it, it's not just your morning coffee when you go to work, but your weekends, catch up with your friends. We're all missing this. And I think it's so important that going forward, we set strategies and we set plans that, that help us get out of this crisis, but without, taking that joy away and that spirit away, because at the end of the day, this is a disease, and you can only fight it if we have faith that you can get over it. So, Gentleman Barista is one of those, definitely great examples where they have shown that spirit. You walk in, you have the team absolutely excited to see you, and that time, those few months where the operators couldn't see their customers, but we, as customers as well, couldn't see our favorite venues. I think we understood that we might have taken it for granted before, and it definitely has brought even more excitement every time we step into our favorite bar or coffee shop. So, yeah, again, one of those things that hopefully stay.
Maurice, I'm really keen to know, you're the property expert in the room. When people are coming to you for advice, are they looking for outdoor space right now?
Many people are, yeah. They all want to take advantage of the outdoor space. It's a big thing at the moment, and also it really it helps people to come into the restaurant as well, because if you're seeing a restaurant where they've got a lot of people sitting, or not a lot of people, but people outside and eating and socializing outside, it's a welcoming feel to people as well that makes people want to go back into restaurants, because that's what a lot of people have lost in this as well, is confidence to go into a restaurant. So we need to try and build confidence again, and I think the outside seating is really a big confidence builder to many operators.
And you ladies both live in South London.
We do.
And there are some fantastic outdoor areas where people can wine and dine. What's your favourites?
I think in Herne Hill, I live near Herne Hill, and Llewellyn's, they've built a terrace. Well, the terrace was already there in front of the train station, but that's extended out. And that little village area, when you walk through, you know, you just want to sit down and have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
You know, it's just lovely. And so you're just proud for them that they've got the opportunity to do it.
Yep.
And I think for me, I live in Sydenham, and I think we're very blessed in a sense that most of the kind of pubs have already really nice outdoor beer gardens, and I think they've really made the most of that during lockdown, where, as you say, people have been scared to go inside, they don't want to be too close to people, but it's been lovely seeing, you know, kind of packed outdoor areas of people having a lovely time, and you know, we've certainly made the most of it while the sunshine's been out, and you know, I hope people continue to do so when the weather gets a bit cooler.
I don't know about all of you, but I feel that sometimes when you go outside and when the weather's been nice and there's all these people outside, it really is a bit of an escapism that, you know,
Yeah.
oh, hello, maybe I did go on holiday this year.
Totally,
That
totally, yeah.
helps.
So that's a big positive, and Hospitality Titans is all about positive energy and spreading that positive message. But let's talk about something that's really hit us hard over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, as you said, the things that have gone very well are flip side to the things that are really challenging right now. And certainly, I think the key one to discuss is this 10 p.m. curfew that's recently come in. Obviously, the entire industry, and rightly so, is up in arms about it. We don't feel it's been very well thought out, and we think the consequences of that are obviously going to play out every weekend. We saw last weekend a lot of issues with it, and I think they're going to happen again this weekend, and we're hoping there will be some review of that. But again, let's start with Freddie for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think I wanted just to start that obviously none of us would like to be now, you know, in charge and probably, you know, make those really difficult decisions. And it never will be easy. However, I think what we all need as citizens, as hospitality, as an industry, we just need to see that whatever restrictions are put are actually leading to a greater goal. You know, whilst talking to many operators that we work with, I think they all have the same view. If we have to shut at 10 p.m., and knowing that this will really help and solve the issue, we will all do this. At the end of the day, we want all to be, you know, have this challenge behind us. But the problem that, you know, everyone has is understanding the logic behind it, you know. Kurt Stessar, the founder of Chotomate, posted, I think 2 days ago, an interesting stat, which he sort of reposted from Hospitality Union, about the fact that in week 39, only 3% of the cases came from actually hospitality or food outlets, you know, compared to 44% that came from universities and school, 25% that came from care homes. And obviously, I mean, it's hard not to feel that it is a bit unfair that most of the restrictions are targeted hospitality. The 10 p.m. curfew, you know, feels like not a really well thought restrictions. And yeah, it's really hard to deal with it. If you're a pub, if you're a restaurant, if you're a bar, even if you do have most of your trade post-work, you got to remember 10 p.m. means 10 p.m. you have to be shut, which means last order will probably be 9, 9:15, 9:30 if you really push it. So this really cuts the hours that, you know, are already limited when you make money. And yeah, all we can do is, you know, push for a change and hope some of these restrictions will be, you know, revoked and thought through again.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Jenny, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's putting extra pressure on the emergency services and the police as well. I mean, having the entire of a city pouring out onto the streets at one time is absolutely insane. It's dangerous. I mean, we're trying to keep people apart at the moment, not having them packed in like sardines. I'm sure we've all seen scenes from last weekend of the parties in the street, in central London, Liverpool, Manchester, Glasgow. Certainly the outrage we're having across universities at the moment, you know, where they're feeling like caged animals, so they're going out and they're rebelling. And I think obviously one of the biggest problems that, you know, licensed venues are having to close down at a certain time. But then the supermarket or the corner shop are just selling people cheap alcohol, which they're then going home in their droves to drink. So it's dangerous as well as the impact it's having financially on you know, in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Michelle, would you like to jump in there as well?
Yeah, I think the difficulty also is, I agree with you, like the reasoning people need to understand.
Yeah.
And we've been reasonable throughout this time. And I think that's the hard part, first of all. We don't get the understanding of it. I think the frustration isn't just for us as the industry as well. I think the frustration's coming from our guests. They want to be back out. And so now, quickly, restaurants and bars are having to come up with new rules that meet their business, because one restaurant to one bar, they're all different. So how are you doing your bookings? So the turnaround and the fear, I think, that this isn't going to continue and there will be another change, and the effort that's putting in, it causes frustration and confusion, and that's where I think the resistance is coming from, to just be, yeah, let's do this because we know this is going to work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was saying, on one hand, it's, they're encouraging people for the eat out to dine out in August, encouraging people to go back into restaurants, go back into bars, use all these, subsidised offerings, and then suddenly it's taken away from them. So, people are confused. They don't know what they are not supposed to do, and then they get upset when people aren't following the rules.
And
Though I do think, I know people have said that, and I agree to an extent. I also think that was revenue people needed.
Yeah. Oh.
And if we hadn't have done that, and we hadn't have gone back out then when the weather was good and we were all outside, there might be businesses who couldn't be having a difficult conversation about 10 p.m. because they wouldn't have been there. So it did give us the revenue we needed at that time.
Do you think they knew that they were going to put these restrictions in some way around October?
I hope they were that clever to think so.
I think so. In my mind, I think that could be the case.
It is interesting now. I mean, I spoke to other countries and operators in other countries, such as Holland. They've put the same restriction in place, 10 p.m. Spain have put the restriction in place. France have put the restriction in place. They've all followed suit. Whilst we put it into place last week, other countries are following suit as well. So I don't know what the science is, and I wish someone would explain it, because it maybe make it easier, but they are doing it in other countries as well.
I believe it started in Belgium.
Oh, did it start in
Belgium? It was the
right.
Belgian model, and seems to have worked. The R rate came down, and that's what they're giving it a go. But they also make good beer as well, the Belgians.
Yeah, but I think again it's about putting a bit of effort to explain it to people. I think it's also taking into account how much operational work goes into actually adapting to all these changes, and announcing something on one day and then sort of expecting venues to adapt within 48 hours. I mean, that's just then you just feel as an operator like these people don't really think. They don't, I think, they don't really put themselves into my shoes. And I think this is just the hardest thing to sort of swallow, right? Is a lack of, sympathy or understanding. At the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. And we would love to see that if our industry contributes to 3% and gets all these restrictions, and then there are other, industries that don't get that many, or there haven't been many changes made, then you cannot expect people to just sit there and accept it. And I think we all should be working together. It's not about obviously now, creating riots or anything like this, because that won't lead to anything. But I do think we need a better communication strategy and understanding where is it that we're actually heading, where is it that we're going with this. And I'm still being optimistic and hoping that next few days, our government will find a way to sort of, somehow deal with this. And hopefully, we'll be in a better sort of position in a few days to discuss this with more optimistic news. So,
fantastic.